Kyle, you're muted.
Can you hear me now, Kate? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Perfect. Thanks, Emily. All right, and can you see my screen? We'll just do a final confirmation on that.
We can see it. There's some weird black boxes.
How's that?
Oh, there you go.
Is that better?
Yes. Keep clicking those
Perfect.
away. There you go.
Excellent. Okay. Well, now that that's all sorted out and taken care of, I'd like to say good evening. Welcome to Pivot. This is the IIDA Oregon Chapter's annual meeting and celebration, and it's our first time hosting it virtually, so thank you for joining us this evening. I'm really happy that you've taken the time to join us, and also, honestly, for just the opportunity to wear clothing that isn't lounge-related from being trapped at home. It's been a while, so it's good to know it still fits. I'd like to dedicate this evening to our members, to our volunteers, to our sponsors, everyone who's been involved with this wonderful organization over the past 12 months and beyond that. It's really been a joy and an incredible learning experience to be a part of, so thank you very much. Our annual celebration and meeting is aligned with the board transition so that we can, at the same time, inform our members about the status of the chapter over the past 12 months. We can update you on our annual accomplishments, and then we can introduce you to our upcoming initiatives. And we are really, in more ways than one, at a pivotal time, both locally and nationally. We're learning new ways to work, new ways to socialize, new ways to live, kind of in general. And as an organization, we're pivoting to a new method of supporting our members, pretty much virtually, as you can see by tonight, and welcoming in a new group of volunteers. And although there are challenges that would be overwhelming to an individual, we thankfully have the strength of a wonderful community. So thank you again for supporting this community and each other so that we can use this opportunity for progress. Tonight, I'll be sharing a recap of the past year and introducing our incoming chapter president, Kate Stewart, who will then share with you what some of the next year looks like, that bit of the year that we know about so far. And then after a short break, we're going to hear from a few of our board members and raise a glass to the IIDA Oregon Chapter and to all of you. And be sure to stick around for our giveaways at the end that you'll need to be present for. Launching into our discussion, I want to start with last year at GROW, which was our annual celebration at the Red on Salmon in Southeast Portland. We spoke about advocacy and the increased role it's playing in our industry. Shortly after that, actually in September of last year, 3 board members, including myself, we attended the Advocacy Symposium in Boston. And headquarters has certainly increased their staff and the resources that they've committed to supporting local efforts. Our own advocacy committee continues to become a more critical influence in the efforts to support our members and is more involved in chapter operations on a daily basis. That symposium was incredibly revealing because it showed me, this was my first advocacy symposium, what really the diverse experience of interior design across the country is like. There's legislation in some areas, it is incredibly challenged in some areas, and in some regions, interior designers and the legislation accompanying it is actually being targeted for deregulation. So it's really exposed to the side of the industry and advocacy that I wasn't really aware of prior to that. What that led to essentially is a goal to better support our local efforts. We applied for and were awarded, thankfully, an advocacy-related grant. This is one thing that I'm very proud of because it's given us the resources that we need to market the impact of our industry and to really kind of fortify our community of support. That community is going to be really, really critical in making our long-term goals successful. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 shutdowns and social distancing have severely impacted our outreach and communication efforts. As you can imagine, and I know we've all experienced this already, it's a lot harder to network, communicate, and do outreach through this virtual platform, especially when you haven't met somebody before. It's a little bit different format that we're still getting used to. Also, in addition to that, the priorities, both for individuals, for businesses, and even for governments have shifted significantly. So while I can't report on necessarily any groundbreaking initiatives in that regard, I can say is that our efforts internally have continued and we're adjusting our plans accordingly. And that really brings me to an update on another COVID-19 impacted initiative. You could probably just call them all COVID-19 impacted initiatives at this point. And this is the Catalyst Grant. To start with a little background on this, approximately 2 years ago, IIDA headquarters in Chicago developed a new method of financially supporting local chapters and the grassroots efforts that happen at this level, and that's called the Catalyst Grant. It's an application-based grant that I'm proud to say the chapter has been awarded since its inception. And in February of 2019, the grant supported our expansion of the next breakfast. That was at the MAC Club, and it really became the foundation for the event that we had this year. Same location, same general topic, or goal actually, not topic. Topic varied quite a bit from the first year there, and it's really developed into our annual speaker series for high-level educational topics. It's one resource that has been successful not just for those in the interior design community, but it's also helped expand our reach outside of the traditional network. That's really one of the leading reasons that we hosted it at the MAC Club, was it gave us a broader reach outside of our traditional community. To encourage the growth of this community, we want to develop resources that can be used by everyone involved in the organization. That's not just people on the board, that's members, that's sponsors, that's firms, businesses, because we know our influence and impact is measurable far beyond our state border, but we currently don't have a successful way of quantifying what that impact is. As a result, our application was tailored around the restructuring of our past State of the Industry survey. So we've taken that survey, we've restructured it. You're looking at essentially some of the metrics that we are pursuing as a part of this survey. And this really is going to provide our members and our firms a clear picture of the economic impact our industry has on the state. The chapter has contracted an outside firm to implement, organize the data, and maintain the confidential results, which will streamline the process compared to what we used to do and protect the privacy of all the participants. And thankfully, due to the grant, we're able to pursue this opportunity without a direct cost to the chapter. It's really been a successful opportunity so far. And for approximately the past 6 months, we've been refining the survey tool and the content with this company, with the goal of requesting participation at the end of this month, so the end of July. And firms and business owners will have the opportunity to participate through a coordinated outreach program that'll come from this company, Chimera, and that'll be with the goal of reaching as many interior design businesses as possible. That's firms that have architects and interior designers, sole practitioners, interior design only firms, and kind of everyone in between, everyone involved in the interior design industry in that regard. And ultimately, the results will directly inform both our advocacy efforts and our educational efforts primarily. So that's pretty exciting to see. As I mentioned, a little bit of the financial impact on the chapter. Certainly we're in a, let's say, slightly chaotic economic time. And so just as the State of the Industry survey is providing an overall financial outlook of the statewide industry, part of the reason that we hold this meeting is to share with you some few general details of the chapter's financial status as well. So we're looking at kind of our tracking chart over the past 9 years of income and expense by fiscal year. Looking at 2019, which is the year we just completed, our operating expenditures were approximately $178,000. Income was actually reverse that number. Don't hire me as your accountant, just as a safe word. $117,000 were our operating expenditures. Operating income was $178,000. So we had a net revenue of just over $60,000. A really successful year for the chapter. Last year, we tried to be really mindful in predicting a chaotic economic time. We actually did it a little bit early, so we're pretty conservative with our budget, and thankfully it's put us in a comfortable spot moving into the second 2 quarters of this year and then into 2021 as well. For fiscal year 2020, we revised our budget to reflect virtual events for the rest of the year, so you'll get to see more of us through this format. And as such, we're also projecting decreases of income and expenditures of approximately $60,000 compared to our what we would call a normal year for that. And due to additional increases, we're expecting to remain essentially well-funded through the remainder of the fiscal year, which is nice to see. Basically, it means that we're going to be in a good position to continue supporting our industry and our membership into 2021. As we continue through a COVID-19 impacted economic downturn, we're very conscious of being able to continue to support our community and our members to the best of our abilities. And we currently hold enough cash on hand to operate for a minimum of 2 years at our current operating levels, which is very encouraging to hear. And in these difficult times, we're committed to offering additional NTIDQ and other application-based reimbursements, membership giveaways, and continuing education opportunities to provide ongoing support to any of our members who are in need. And that's really about building a strong base of community where we can support each other. If you know of any opportunities for the chapter to support the community through interior design related projects, we'd really like to encourage you to contact the leadership team, and we would be happy to discuss how we can get involved and better support those efforts. To wrap up the recap, what I'd like to launch into is basically a extreme thank you for all the people who have committed their time over the past 12 months. As a small token of our gratitude for each of our volunteers and their service over the past year, we always like to say thank you with a local gift. And this year, we're very happy to support a community-focused, Black-owned business that really became a focus for us after we started witnessing all of the social change that's going on, all of the protests and challenges that we're going through. Basically, the initiatives we wanted to tie into that and support and kind of do what we can to support our community. So we're procuring a gift from Abbey Creek Winery. You'll be each getting hand-delivered, a lovely bottle of wine from their shop in North Plains, Oregon. And they also have a fantastic documentary that's on their website that highlights the industry that they're trying to change a little bit. It highlights a more diverse winemaking industry in Oregon. And we're really happy to support a business that's so focused on creating a diverse and inclusive community. So once again, thank you all for your time and effort over the past year. Thank you as well to each of your families and your friends who've been understanding and supportive when you've committed your time to the chapter. And in addition to thanking the board as a group, I'd specifically like to call out 2 people, Sarah Weber and Emma Bramowitz. They are our outgoing chapter advisors and former presidents themselves. I'd just like to say thank you for your ongoing support, for your guidance, for your contributions. You have been instrumental in helping the chapter grow into the organization that it is today. And you've been amazingly helpful for many of the volunteers over your years of engagement with the chapter. So we cannot thank you enough. I will keep saying it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But it will never be enough. With that, one more time, thank you to all of you for your involvement. Thank you for giving me the honor of being the president of the chapter over the past year. And I now have the wonderful pleasure and honor of introducing our incoming IIDA Oregon Chapter President, Kate Stewart.
Hi. Thank
I've got 2 more things, Kate. I've got 2 more things, Kate.
I'm
going to embarrass you just a little bit. Over the past year, Kate's been invaluable to our success and has been incredibly agile in adjusting to our socially distanced operations, which is the near future of the chapter. She's a former VP of membership and will be introducing you to the incoming board and the next year of the IIDA Oregon Chapter. So please join me in raising a glass. I'm going to raise my tea and welcoming her as the incoming IIDA Oregon Chapter President.
Thank you. And I'm going to steal your screen now, but thanks to our past president, Kyle Holzkamp, for an amazing year. Thank you, Kyle. Cheers, everyone, to my disappearing glass. Stop. Let's see here. Screen share. Here we go. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Kyle, give me a thumbs up. Great. Welcome to Pivot. Tonight is a celebration. Someone just knocked on my door. This is a Zoom call, everyone. It's crazy. Welcome to Pivot. Tonight is a celebration of the incredible achievements we have made as a professional organization, as a chapter, and as an industry. But it's also about looking forward to our upcoming board year. There is a brand new group of people who you will meet tonight that are excited about us moving forward into 2021. At the foundation of our chapter's success is a generous group of individuals, companies, and firms that support our goals and our mission, and I'd like to thank a few of them now. Thank you to our board gift sponsor, Spec Systems. I can't wait to get my bottle of wine. And our virtual host sponsors, Absolute Resource, Willis, and Cambria. Thank you to our distinguished Ruby level sponsors, Solus, and our Sapphire sponsor, Rulon International. Thank you to our Topaz level sponsors, Loom, Garrison Associates, Environments, and Northwest Art and Framing. To all of our event and annual sponsors, thank you for your incredible support. And thank you to our platinum level annual sponsors, Mohawk Group, Pacific WRO, and ZGF Architects. Thank you from the entire IIDA Oregon chapter for supporting interior design. Thank you as well to GBD Architects for supporting me throughout my involvement with the IIDA Oregon chapter. So, a little bit about me and my involvement with IIDA. 6 years ago, I joined the IIDA Oregon chapter as Sarah Weber served her term as president. I remember the passion and excitement that flowed through all the board members that year as we huddled up in a cabin during our winter board retreat at Camp Namanu and talked about how we can make a difference in our community and strive to elevate the interior design profession. I felt empowered, like we could really make a difference, and I was hooked. Prior to being nominated for the president-elect role, I served in a few different positions, most recently as vice president of my membership. That year, I helped to introduce one of our newest events, the Next Breakfast Speaker Series, with our then president, Emma Abramowitz. As the year wrapped up, Emma asked if I wanted to become president after my VP term was completed, and I said, no way. A year went by, and again, Emma and Mia Allen, our immediate past president, approached me with the same question, only this time I very reluctantly said yes. I don't think of myself as a leader. I'm never the loudest voice in the room, and I hate being the center of attention, but I am so passionate about this group and dedicated to the advancement of commercial interior design, and that's why I'm here today. I'd like to thank Emma for seeing something in me that I didn't see in myself and encouraging me to step into this role, Sarah Weber for lighting that initial spark, Mia Allen and Kyle Holzkamp for guiding me through this past year as president-elect, all of last year's board members for inspiring me and making me so excited and grateful for everything they accomplished last year. And lastly, I'd like to thank our incoming board members for joining me as I begin the journey of leading this board for the next 12 months. We are in a pivotal year, a rising pandemic, the Black Lives Matter movement, and an upcoming presidential election. This is a year with a lot of uncertainty and change, but we will remain strong and optimistic, and we will uphold our mission to be the face of professional interior design in the state of Oregon, to be a resource for our members and people who seek the services of professional interior designers, to uphold our profession to the highest standards and support legal recognition of the interior design profession in Oregon. This organization is dedicated to serving our members and our community through this year's change and uncertainty. I have always been inspired by the IIDA manifesto, which you can read here while I take a drink. As president of the IIDA Oregon Chapter, my first initiative is to continue to fulfill the chapter mission statement, honor our organization's manifesto through all that we do this year. Also, let's continue to grow. Last year, we gathered in the Red on Salmon and spoke about our initiative to grow our chapter. This year, we plan to continue forward with that initiative by evolving our chapter and finding brand new ways to reach a broader audience and make a larger impact. With that continued initiative in place, I'd like to challenge our chapter to become more involved with our communities. 2020 has been a hard year for our country, and Oregon needs us to give back. We're such a strong group of talented, creative, and hardworking people, and when we come together, we can really make a huge impact. This year, we will strive to use that talent and passion to help us grow and give back to the people in our community. Through this effort, I hope to further educate our growing chapter to the advocacy efforts of the commercial interior design profession in the state of Oregon. Our world was turned upside down this March. Some of our favorite events were planned and replanned and re-replanned to accommodate everyone's safety. While we are saddened by this and we miss seeing your faces in person, our #1 priority is your safety. With that in mind, we made the very tough decision to virtualize all of our events until 2021. Now that we can't connect physically, we need to find new ways to connect and enhance our digital presence. So I have a couple polls here that I'm hoping will help our chapter gather feedback to help us stay better connected. The first one here, which should pop up on your screen, is about our weekly email newsletter. So please take a moment to fill out your answer while I talk about how the recent challenge of going virtual has led to some exciting opportunities. The design crawl was our first challenge to turn an event digital. The event plan for April has been reintroduced as a virtual design crawl series. We just wrapped up our tour of the Myron Frank redevelopment by Bora Architects and are looking forward to our next 2 tours coming up at the end of this month and in August. The virtual version of the event opens the door to touring new projects that we might not have normally considered due to their distance from Portland. We are also capable of reaching a greater audience in other parts of Oregon and beyond who might not have typically traveled to Portland to attend. It's possible that in the future, a virtual version of this event could continue alongside our in-person design crawl, now that we've developed the necessary tools and programming for hosting it. Okay, thank you for participating in our poll. We are going to launch one more poll. This one is about our digital communications. We want to know where you hear about our events through IIDA emails, Instagram, or something else. Your participation in these polls will help us guide the communications team as we further develop our initiative to enhance our digital presence. So thank you. We have more challenges to overcome, more events to rethink, and creative solutions to develop for our very unique year, but I'm looking forward to upholding our chapter's mission statement, growing our chapter, getting involved with the community through philanthropy efforts, and broadening our advocacy reach and staying connected by enhancing our digital presence. Moving on to some of our upcoming events. At the end of this month, on July 30th, we will be arriving at stop number 2 of our virtual design crawl. We will be touring the Oregon Harbor of Hope Navigation Center by OPSIS. I can't wait to learn more from the design team about their award-winning project. In August, we will begin our call for submissions for the Virtual Design Excellence Awards that will take place live over Zoom in October. We're brainstorming some really fun ideas for that event. We're amping it up. It's going to be more than just a Zoom call. So please be on the lookout for a call for project submissions, as well as a call for entering candidates into our Emerging Professional Award, our Legacy Award, and our Industry Award. Also in August, we will be hosting our first forum for the year and ending the month with our final stop on the virtual design crawl at the Robert M. Richmond Memorial Library and Museum by Henneberry Eddy. In September, we will be hosting an advocacy night, as well as our first happy hour of the board year. You can find our full calendar of events by visiting our website, and I look forward to seeing all of you there, even if it's just through a screen. So before I jump into announcing the new board members for the upcoming year, I'd like to show off some of the generously donated giveaways. If you stick around for most of our presentation tonight, you will be entered to win. Names will be drawn via a live Instagram story after the event. With that, I'm ready to announce who will be volunteering their time and talent to us for the next 12 months. After I introduce you to the new board slate, we will take a short break and then jump into the part of the night I'm most excited about, our board member panel discussion. Claire Goddard, Emily Wright, and Amber Turner will be joining me to discuss more details about our chapter's goals and initiatives, diving into each of their roles on the board and answering your questions, so you won't want to miss it. And now it's time to announce our 2020-2021 board members. Our leadership team consists of past president Kyle Holzkamp, me, Kate Stewart, and our president-elect Amber Turner. Our VP of membership, Laura Saracen, Directors of Membership, Eve Horseman and McKenna Barnum. Our VP of Communications, Claire Goddard. Website Director, Maddie Gorman. Director of Social Media, Hannah Boyce. Director of News, Sherry Deemers. Our VP of Sponsorship, Allie Raymond. Director of Annual Sponsorship, Katie Reinhart. Director of Event Sponsorship, Holly Hill. Our VP of Professional Development, formerly known as Forums and Education, Ren DeChierney, and our Directors of Professional Development, Kylie Jensen, Jen Stone, and Jasmine Hidalgo. Our VP of Advocacy, Emily Wright, and our Directors of Advocacy, Ella Benound and Jenna Hayes. Our VP of Student Affairs, Rachel Pratt, Directors of Student Affairs, Teresa Maurer and Peter Harrison, our Student Liaison for OSU, Hannah Edwards, and our Student Liaison for the University of Oregon, Bailey Ash. Our VP of Finance, Rhonda Jensen, Director of Finance, Whitney Dooley, and our Director of Internal Communications, Kelly Battaglia. Lastly, but not leastly, our chapter advisors, Mia Allen and resident Vogue model, Beth Gish. These wonderful individuals have committed themselves over the next 12 months to support IIDA members across the state of Oregon. So please join me in raising a glass and welcoming the 2020-2021 Oregon Chapter Board of Directors. Woo! Silence. Congratulations to everyone. We're going to take a 2-minute break to refresh and refill before our board member panel discussion. While you wait, don't forget to increase your chances to win a giveaway. Create your own Instagram story and tag us to be entered. Show us how you're watching Pivot this evening, what you're drinking, or you're snacking on, or your furry friend, and you'll be entered for a second chance to win. Winners will be drawn via an Instagram story on Monday, so good luck, and we'll be right back to hear from Claire, Emily, and Amber. And we're back. Claire, Emily, Amber. There you guys are.
Yay!
So I hope everyone had a chance to refill their drinks and get cozy, because I'm super excited to dive right into this panel discussion. This portion of the evening is meant to be an open discussion between a few of our board members. So please feel free to engage with us and type any questions you have into the chat, and we'll do our best to answer. I'll let our panelists introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their role on the board, where they work, and their little fun photos here. So Claire, we'll start with you.
All right. So for those of you that I haven't met, my name is Claire Goddard. I work at Ingram Moyson, and I am the VP of Communications, which has been super exciting. I kind of started mid-year last year, so got a little jump start on it. And then this fun picture is me dreaming of last summer when I was in Lyon, France with my sisters, drinking in a field before we went to watch the women U.S. national team win the World Cup. So already planning my trip for 2023 when we go watch them win in New Zealand. So
cool. Yay. What about you, Emily?
All right. Hi, so my name is Emily Wright, and I'm an interior designer at SRG. And I'm stepping into the role of VP of Advocacy this year after being a Director of Advocacy for 2 years. So really excited about that. And my fun picture is from last summer when we tried backpacking for the first time. So looking a little rough after a 12-mile hike, but I survived, so that was a good time.
You don't look that rough, Emily.
I feel like I look pretty rough, but thank you.
And Amber, whose dog is that?
That is my work from home supervisor. She keeps me in line. And then I also have a young intern running around as well. If you check the IIDA Oregon Instagram story, you'll get to see them both. They are cozied up watching the show down by my feet. But to introduce myself, Amber Turner. I'm an interior designer at Bora Architects, and hopefully I have gotten a chance to meet most of you on the call already, based on the last 3 years that I've been on the sponsorship team. But if I haven't, then hopefully in the next few years I will be able to meet you when we can meet in person, because I'll be president-elect, and then president, and then past president. So I'm for a few years.
It never stops, Amber.
Never ends. Well, thanks for your introductions. Claire, we're going to start with you. I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about your roles and responsibilities as the VP of Communications and what you're excited about for communications team this year.
Yeah, there's a lot to be excited about, but I'll first kind of explain kind of what I do a little bit. But as VP of Communications, I kind of oversee all the various methods of IIDA communications, whether it's e-blast, website, Instagram, everything like that. And I kind of see it as we're kind of a team that supports everything that's going on within our organization. So whether we're supporting something for the advocacy team, or maybe there's a forum happening, or our design crawl, we really see us as the voice for IIDA in making sure we get all that information out there to everybody. And talk about a pivot, though, with pandemic happening, all of a sudden, all those things that we normally are promoting or doing totally changed. We aren't seeing each other in person anymore. And so it became kind of our goal, and kind of what we're excited about this year, is how can we create more of a sense of community online, and how can we interact more online. And so we've been really trying to up kind of our Instagram stories, Instagram presence, because I think, I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm just speaking from my own experience, but when you're bored during the day, sometimes you just kind of flip through Instagram. And so if I get to see more stuff from IIDA Oregon, and if we get more interaction with everybody, I just think it would be a really great way, especially right now, to build community. And I challenge everybody to not let my mom be the first one to like our photos, because she is always one of the first ones to like it and to comment. So we need the rest of our interior design community to be the first ones and not just my mom.
She's your biggest fan.
Oh yeah, she's obsessed, only slightly. But yeah, we're really just excited to kind of just bring us more together that way. And we're gonna have some really fun new initiatives and stories coming out and kind of getting to know the board stuff. So everybody, stay tuned. I don't know about Emily though. What is Emily? You're jumping into a new role. What are you excited about?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I've been on the advocacy committee for, this will be my 3rd year. So I've been part of a lot of the things going on, but I think, we've had a lot of momentum just kind of growing as we've been really reevaluating what does it mean to be advocates for our profession? How do we really build that understanding just beyond just our design community, but in a larger sense of, having people understand what commercial interior designers do feels like a really big part of what the advocacy committee wants to focus on. That kind of came from a few years ago, getting really close to having legislation, and that it did not pass. And it made us kind of reevaluate, what are those building blocks that we're going to need to get to that point. And I think there's just been some really cool ideas going on, and the state of the industry, I think, is going to be really huge. And so that's something that the advocacy committee has taken on and has been an integral part of. And so I think that that's really exciting. And yeah, we just have a lot of things going on in the background. COVID has definitely derailed a few of those. And so we'll be on our feet kind of figuring out the next steps. But, talking about engaging with a lobbyist, which we haven't had for a few years. And I think that that's going to be a really big step for us in engaging with kind of the larger community.
So Emily, you kind of started to talk about this, but how do you explain what a commercial interior designer does to someone who might not know anything about the profession and have just watched a lot of HGTV?
Yeah, always a fun conversation. I think to start off with, I've really started saying that I'm a commercial interior designer when people ask me what I do, just because I feel like that best describes the work that I am doing. And I think that helps to, if they either don't know what an interior designer is, or it makes them kind of ask, oh, what does a commercial interior designer do? And kind of pulls it away from that residential HGTV idea. Still working on like the real quick definition of what my job entails, because I think, as we all know, there's a lot of things that go into being a designer. But yeah, I think it's just about having those conversations and being comfortable to have those conversations and know how to talk about the work that you're doing with people who don't have any idea. But I think once you start talking about it, everybody's been inside of a building before, and chances are that those buildings had an interior designer work on them. And so I think even just, talking about how we kind of think about how a building is designed and how those things happen, because it's not by accident, helps just kind of open up their idea of, oh, there is somebody kind of behind the scenes. And I think it's very similar in that people don't really know what architects do, I think, on a day-to-day basis, other than they know that a building comes out of it. So I think just pulling back the curtain a little bit, I think really does a lot for helping people understand what our role is.
Yeah, totally. You kind of already answered this, but if you had any specific action items for what our chapter could do, or what the individuals watching tonight could do to be better advocates for our profession, what would you say to them?
Yeah. So in addition to just getting comfortable about talking about being an interior designer and a commercial interior designer, I think, Kate, you have really kind of started talking about it, but it's that idea of community and thinking about how we are part of a larger community, just even outside of our design community, and thinking about how to get involved in those kind of greater circles and within your neighborhood, because the more that you go out and get involved in those areas and are talking to your neighbors about what you do, everybody around you is a chance to kind of become an advocate for commercial interior design. It just means that they understand what you're doing. And so if you're going out into the community and, it doesn't even have to be anything related to what you're doing, but those are just relationships that are going to be really important as we move forward. And I think that's a really excellent way to become an advocate, and look at how other people can also become advocates for you.
So Anna Wynn just asked about golf this year. So we're not doing that in person just to avoid any safety concerns. But there is an upcoming advocacy symposium that's normally a virtual event, and we're doing our own virtual event. So Emily, can you expand a little bit about the advocacy symposium that's put on by IIDA headquarters that normally none of us attend because it's out of town? We don't know what it is, but you've been in the past, and you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think, that's one of those kind of like unexpected pieces of everybody being remote, is all of a sudden everything is a lot more accessible because you can just be at home and on your computer. So I think that's really exciting with the advocacy symposium. As Kyle mentioned, he went with us last year. It was Whitney Dooley, myself, and Kyle who got to attend. And it's just a really eye-opening event. There's different topics and speakers, but you're hearing from other chapters and the things that they're working on, and the struggles that they might be having, but you're also hearing from legislators and lobbyists. And so there's just a lot of perspectives that come into it. And so it's really exciting that it's going to be a digital event this year that we don't know too many details yet, so I'm not sure what the cost associated is going to be, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty low. And we'll learn more about kind of that programming. But I think that it's going to be a really great opportunity if there's anybody who is interested in learning a little bit more about advocacy. We'll definitely be kind of promoting that, and I think it would be a great opportunity for people that get involved in that. And we'll be having our Oregon advocacy event the Thursday before that, so I'm kind of hoping that that'll be a kickoff and that we can kind of pivot that into the symposium the next week.
Pivot that, I like it. Nice.
And also, of course, we'll be sure to give everybody information in the e-blast and on Instagram if you're curious.
As soon as we know more, we will definitely share.
Yeah.
Thanks, Emily. So, Amber, you've spent a number of years on the sponsorship committee, most recently completing your 2-year term as VP of Sponsorship before you stepped into the president-elect role. During that time, you helped us streamline our process for obtaining sponsorship, as well as help expand our idea of ways to best honor our sponsors. What initiatives will you challenge the next VP of Sponsorship with, especially in these uncertain times?
Great question. We have a great VP of Sponsorship coming into this role, Allie Raymond, who many of you know from Source, formerly Crowdsource. And I actually had the pleasure of serving with her on the sponsorship team a couple of years ago. She was the director of annual sponsorship. So she knows kind of how the operations work. And I think considering her connections with industry partners with her role at Source, I think she's just going to be really valuable in this role. And I guess I would challenge her to maybe expand our reach as a chapter, because right now I feel like we have great sponsors, consistent sponsors, but I feel like we've been reaching out to a lot of the same people for a few years now. So I think it'd be great with her expanded contacts and knowledge of industry partners to even just broaden our reach a little bit further. And then in terms of these challenging, unprecedented times we're living in, I guess I would say just as we're getting more comfortable with virtual platforms, it's very possible that we can continue virtual platforms for our events even as we're able to meet in person again. So considering sponsorship benefits that bring the most value to our sponsors, that would be applicable to both in-person events and virtual events. I think that would be a good challenge.
Yeah.
I think this ties in a lot with our communications team this year.
Yep. I was going to say, it sounds like communications and sponsorship will need to have some planning sessions.
Yes, I know just
Totally.
in the last couple months, shifting to virtual events so quickly, we've already kind of restructured some of our standard benefits to reflect a more virtual platform, such as more benefits and exposure on Instagram and eBlast, where a lot of people are getting their updates and information. You can see here, we have our virtual host sponsors that have been on like every slide. So just trying to find creative ways that we can bring more value to our sponsors, because they really do kind of keep our chapter afloat and running and allow us to put on such great events, both in person and virtually.
Yeah. They're still helping us, I think everybody helping us build this design community, and we can't do it without them or without any one part of it. So we need to figure out how to bring it all together in this realm now.
Yeah. And I'm just going to give a huge shout out to the communications team, because I feel like you guys have really stepped up in the current conditions to.
There's Hannah in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Our Instagram stories are amazing.
This, I will say, while the presentation was going on, I did check Instagram just to see how many people had, posted how they were enjoying it, and it was awesome. I'm so excited, and Hannah's doing a great job putting together all the other information for people, but also I'm just so excited to see what other people are doing instead of just, us on the communication stream trying to figure out what to push out.
Totally.
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Okay, I have one more question for you, Amber, and it's a hard one.
Uh-oh.
Why did you decide to become president-elect and sign yourself up for 3 years?
That is a hard one, but also an easy one. I guess a few years ago, when I was originally, the idea was tossed around, it was a definite no. I kind of laughed and was like, yeah, right. And then the following year, the idea was tossed around again, and I was like, really? And then somehow over time, that definitely not turned into a yes. So I think it's just the chapter has been growing on me, and the community of great designers and industry members that we get to spend our time with. I've also had a lot of exposure and relationships with Sarah Weber and Emma Bromowitz, and I've seen how IIDA has just really positively affected, influenced, from what I've observed, their lives. I'm speaking for them now. I'm so sorry. I'm also hoping that this will help me build up my presentation skills and confidence speaking in front of people. Right now it's virtual. Feels okay, but still a little questionable. But in all seriousness, I think that just the opportunities to collaborate with people from other firms, industry members, in a way that's different than what we do at work. I think it's a great way to build relationships. It's a great way to kind of develop professional skills like organization, delegation, which I need to learn. So I think it's gonna be a long 3 years. But yeah, I just think it's going to be really exciting. I'm excited to work with the board that we have. We have a really awesome board lined up.
Yeah, we do.
So here goes nothing.
There's no turning back now, Amber.
Right?
It's on a slide. You can't go back.
Well, I don't think we have any real questions in the chat, but we did get a few questions ahead of the presentation. Well, a couple of these are from Diane Knight. She wants to know, how do you see working with reps in the future? What is something we should know about product presentations, emails, Zoom calls? What would be helpful for you? I can go first. I'll say this as someone who's hosting a Zoom call right now. I'm kind of zoomed out. It was really fun in the beginning, and now it's kind of like I want them to be more meaningful. If we're doing one, I want it to be educational. I want it to be really just something, I don't know, to get that connection that we're missing, to learn something. So that's kind of my thought about that situation right now. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that.
I would say yes to all of that you just said, but I also don't want to lose, I think, that sense of, you know, relationships that we build with all our reps. Because I mean, that honestly is another amazing part of this, you know, being a designer, is those connections. I have really appreciated some of the just like little snippet videos that we get of like new products, or like, I know some reps have been having some fun with it and been a little silly, but just those like where it's, you know, a 5-minute or less little video where I get to just see something fun, you know, see something pretty. Because I definitely miss, especially at Ankrum, I miss our materials library with all the stuff pretty and laid out. I do miss that instead of the floor of my guest bedroom. But yeah, I think those, I've been really enjoying those, and I'd like to still, I think, continue to see those. Also, reps who post stuff on, I try to follow people on Instagram and posting on there too. Again, just like kind of that, where I get to see some fun new stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, that, and I'm seeing a lot of people talk about Source, like the Source little lunch break.
Oh, yeah, those have been great.
Those have been great.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few people have done like these socially, I haven't been to one yet, but a few reps have done socially distanced presentations in the park, which I could see myself going to one of those.
Yeah, I forgot the Source things. I've watched a bunch of those, and yeah, those are great. And I like treat it as like a lunch break or just like a breakaway kind of from my computer, although I'm still looking at a computer, but they seem to be more fun than staring at Revit. So
Yep. I've done some of the snack breaks by like going out on my porch and watching them on my phone.
oh
It's
yeah,
still screen time, but it feels like a break because I'm not sitting, I'm outside. Yeah.
Yep.
But I agree. I mean, I think in general, just trying to reduce any kind of non-essential screen time, I guess. So I think really Instagram has been like a huge source for me, honestly, for discovering new product launches, the Source snack breaks, and then also just reaching out when we have a need for something specific, just emailing reps individually as needed. So
yeah, that's still gonna be what I'm doing. Like when I have a project and the need arises, I always know I can reach out to our industry partners because they're so great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Diane had one more question. How can we plan a successful future together, and what kinds of support do we need from each other? That's kind of a tough one. Does anyone want to kick that off?
I mean, I think as a design community, we do rely so heavily on each other. So I think whether it's events like this or distance meetups, I think just maintaining those relationships is going to be really important to our success, because we do need each other. I mean, designers can't design without product reps, and reps can't rep without designers, and there's other people that I'm forgetting, and including in this cyclical life cycle we have. But I think just maintaining those relationships is going to be big.
Yeah. I think that kind of, you know, big picture thing too. I mean, that kind of applies, I think, to everything during this pandemic, is that maintaining relationships is like key, I think, for not just for success, but for, you know, in a lot of ways, like happiness and staying sane during these times. So I think, yeah, just however we can maintain those relationships. Yeah. Don't have a specific answer, but
I feel like sometimes I go days with talking to only my dogs, and I think it shows right now. That lack of human interaction.
Yeah.
Oh.
But your dogs are so cute. Look at them.
I'm still waiting for them to respond when I talk to them.
They haven't yet?
No.
Come on, they need to learn how to talk by this point of stay at home. No.
Well, I haven't seen any other questions in the chat, and it's 6:01, 6:02.
Way to keep us on time.
So, if nobody has anything else, thank
Second.
you, Claire, Emily, and Amber, for joining me tonight in our discussion about goals and initiatives for the upcoming year. And thank you, Kyle, to an amazing board year. And thanks to everyone who tuned in tonight. I can't wait to get to know you better this year. We'll be announcing our giveaways winners on Monday and reaching out via email to all our winners. So thanks again and welcome to the 2020-2021 board year. Cheers.
Yay!
Thank you. Yay.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you so much.
It disappears in the thing.
Have a good night.
Cheers. Oh, man. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
I'm just sitting here reading the chat.
I know.
I don't want to quit because I don't want to miss the chat.
Right?
I'm trying to play that video again. Hold on.
It's slowing down.
I can't. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody.